Now, we'll understand about the DNS record types. Address records like host A by AAAA. It maps the domain to an IPv4A or IPv6 AA address. For example, 192.0.2.1. PTR, that is pointer. It reserves the DNS like an IP to a domain. For example, 192.0.2.1. It goes to example.com like an address name, a website address name. Service, SRV. It guides the service example VoIP, voice over internet protocol, or email to the right server or port. Name server, NS. It lists the server that manage a domain's DNS, for example, nsl.example.com. Start of authority, SOA. It shows the admin technical DNS zone info, for example, primary server or the refresh time. CNAME. It creates a domain name alias, for example, www.example.com, which can be example.com only. So instead of typing www, you can just type example.com. Mail exchanger, MX. Mail exchanger directs email to the mail server. For example, example.com will be redirected to mail.example.com. Now, DNS spam management records. DNS spam management records help block email spam by verifying sender authenticity. Text, that is TXT records store free from text to support the services. DNS can record authentication data for the domain mail servers as well. Receipts can check those records to block unwanted and spoofed messages, that is spam management. Now let's understand about the Sender Policy Framework, SPF. It identifies host authorized send mail. It lists approved mail server for a domain like a guest list. Domain keys identified mail, that is DKIM. It uses cryptography to allow validation of mail source. It adds a digital signature to prove email are not forged. Domain-based message authentication, reporting and conformance, that is DMARC. DMARC tells the receiver what to do if SPF or DKIM fail, for example, to reject or to quarantine the email. Virtual LANs. For virtual LANs, that is VLANs, it splits a single physical network into multiple isolated virtual network, like creating separate lanes on the same highway. Whereas isolation, here the devices in one VLAN can't talk to each other without a router that improves security and the performance. It is also flexible, where group devices logically, for example, by department, regardless of physical location. It also reduces unnecessary broadcast, for example, printers won't bother HR WAN. It uses the VLAN ID like caller codes to keep traffic separate on shared switches. Virtual private network. Virtual private network, which is VPN, creates a secure and unencrypted tunnel over the internet to protect your data. Here, it can hide your IP and encrypts traffic, keeping hackers out like a secret tunnel. It lets you safely connect to the home or work network from anywhere. It can bypass the restrictions like access region logged content by masking your location. Now we'll understand about the supporting network services. File and print servers. Server message block, that is SMP. It is a protocol for sharing files, printers, and devices over a network. TCP 445. The TCP 445 is the port used by SMP for direct communication without the net BIOS. Only SMB3 or SMB2 should be used. Newer, more secure versions of SMB to avoid the older vulnerable versions. Common Internet File System, CIFS references. It's an older version of SMP, now newly replaced, but still it has been used. So NetBIOS and NetBT. It is a legacy protocol for network communication. It was used before the modern SMB. TCP UDP 137139. It is the port used by a NetBIOS for name resolution and file sharing, which is now outdated. NetBIOS is only needed for very few old Windows systems, like which is pre 2000 versions of the Windows. And in FTP, it's a protocol for transferring files over a network insecure by the defaults. TCP 21 and 20. FTP uses port 21 for commands and 20 for data transfer. Secure FTP. It uses SFTP over SSH or FPPS with TLS instead of plain FTP. Now, web servers. What is a web server? A web server is a computer or software that stores and delivers website content like web pages, images, and videos to users over the internet. When you visit a website, your browser requests files from the web server, which then sends back for you to see. Example, Apache, NG and IX, and Microsoft IIS. Websites and web applications. Websites are the static pages, while web applications are interactive like online banking or social media. HTTP, Hypertext Transport Protocol. The protocol is used to transfer data between web servers and browsers. This is actually an unsecured protocol. TCP 80, it is the default port where HTTP traffic is sent and received. Hypertext Markup Language, that is HTML, forms and web applications. HTML builds web pages, forms collect user input, and web application run dynamic functions. URL, Uniform Resource Locators. It is a web address like http://example.com that point to online resources. Web server development. It is a process of setting up and hosting a website or application on a server for public access. Now we'll understand about the Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure, HTTPS. It is a secure version of HTTP that encrypts data sent between your browser and website, keeping your information safe from hackers. It uses SSL, PLS encryption to protect the password, credit card details, and other sensitive data. You can tell a site uses HTTPS if it has padlock icon in the address bar. TLS, Transport Layer Security. It is a security protocol that encrypts data over the internet to keep it private and safe. HTTP with PLS encryption is used for secure website connection, for example, online banking. But TCP 443, the port where HTTP traffic is sent and received securely. Digital Certificate and CAs. It is a digital ID used by trusted organizations to verify a website authenticity. Browser Secure Indicators. It's a padlock or HTTPS in the URL bar means the connection is encrypted and trusted. Now we'll understand about the mail servers. A mail server is a system that sends, receives, and stores email, like acting like a digital post office. It uses mail transfer protocol like SMTP to route messages between servers and mailbox storage like IMAP and POP3. It lets user access their email. Example include Microsoft Exchange, Postfix, and Gmail servers. SMTP sends mail, IMAP/POP3 retrieves it, and IMAP synchronize across the devices. POP3 downloads locally. Mail servers. Mail servers are specialized servers that stores and manage users' emails, allowing access via protocols like POP3 and IMAP. Now we'll understand about the mailbox servers. Mailbox servers are specialized servers that stores and manage the user's emails, allowing access via protocols like POP3 and IMAP. Mailbox access, where user retrieves email from the server to their devices. POP3. Post Office Protocol 3. It downloads the email to the client, for example, Outlook, and typically deletes them from the server. That is TCP/110 or TCP/995 for SSL and TLS. IMAP, Internet Mail Access Protocol. It synchronizes email across the devices by keeping them on the server, enabling folder management like TCP/143 or TCP/993 for SSL and TLS. Now we'll understand the diagram. This image shows Outlook being configured to access a mailbox server via POP3. The incoming server, pop3.mysisp.net. It is the incoming mail server. Outgoing server, which is smtp.mysip.net. SMTP for sending the mails. Authentication, username, David, and password with optimal secure login, that is SPA. Delivery option, emails are saved to an Outlook data file for local storage, typical for POP3. Where POP3 is simpler but less flexible, IMAP is better for multi-device access.